Good afternoon, Xbox Nation. It is a glorious Thursday, and we are back once again to bring you the best and most positive Xbox news this side of Texas. And of course, you have tuned in to the Xbox Factor podcast. I am one of your hosts, MrBooMStickXL, and with me, as always, now known as the American Gamer, because of course he's a big Captain America fan, the Welsh Gamer. Welcome, dude.
Happening, Boom. Captain Wales here. No, man, honestly, I am on cloud 20. Screw
Nice.
your cloud 9. I'm on cloud 20. I went to
Love
see
it.
the IMAX midnight premiere of Endgame, and no spoilers, guys, but you are in for a treat. What a phenomenal movie. I know this is a gaming show, Boom, but I have to profess, what an outstanding movie. I know you're a fan of Marvel as well, that this movie just ticks every box, and how it like executes the climax of a 10-year story-driven universe created absolutely blew me away. Unbelievable. I'm going to see it again Monday. So yeah,
Nice.
that's enough about. I'm sorry for blabbering on, but man, I'm so buzzing right now. I'm literally high on life after watching that film.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow morning with my brother Neo Mental, who's probably in the chat already. And we talked this morning. Our hype levels are at 13 rather than 10. But you know what? Before we start the show, I have to do a public announcement. First of all, last Friday, in a very reluctant kind of a form, launched my own Patreon support channel. I said this in the opening. If you go to the Patreon page and you read it, I was reluctant because I felt I needed to do two things. One, of course, is gain the trust of the community. And from numerous messages of support, I believe I have. Secondly, and I think this is just as important, was not only hone my skills as a host, but prove to the audience that when they tune in, they're going to get the best content that they can find anywhere. I pride myself in staying up late multiple nights a week to write these shows because I want them to be better. Each show has to be better, otherwise I'm failing the audience. And you know what? In basically an unbelievable amount of support, it exploded. So I want to just name the names and just thank them publicly for supporting this. First of all, I have to support my wife Josette Rivera, who was the first Patreon who has supported me on this literally from the minute I decided I want to be a YouTube content creator. But I want to thank AP Cool, Biggie 2316, Creeper, The Only One Left, Defunct Jester, Dave, LMNOP, Jim Jordan, and Mark Devlin for supporting this Patreon I guess adventure, if you will. It has been nothing short of amazing. Completely blew me away with the support. But you know what? Enough of that. Let's get what everyone is here to talk about. And that, of course, is the Xbox platform that we all know and love. And we're going to open up today's show with a rumor. Ninja Theory's next project is a co-op sci-fi game releasing in 2020, according to a report I pulled from comicbook.com. Now, according to this report, the newly surfaced leak/rumor is the next game from Ninja Theory, Drew. And obviously, they developed the very impressive Hellblade on a very small budget. They've also developed Heavenly Sword for the PS3, which was fantastic. And of course, DMC Devil May Cry, which a lot of people didn't like. I happen to really enjoy that game. And apparently, this sci-fi game is going to release early 2020. Now, the leaker notes that the game is story-focused with combat that's all about melee. And as we know, Ninja Theory is kind of known for that melee combat. What's more impressive, Drew, is the fact that it's going to be a 4-player co-op game, and each player can pick from different unique abilities, making that everyone's going to be different. And I think that is amazing. The leak also claims there will be 18 levels across 6 unique locations, with each location offering up to 3 levels and about 90 minutes of play each one. And basically, it seems like the game is going to be massive. But you know what? What I find interesting, Drew, is the game story. It takes place across multiple planets and follows the characters who left Earth, which has been invaded by an alien race, and they're basically on a mission to hunt down these creatures responsible for the alien invasion and take over each planet that they're on. Now, the one thing I have to say that excites me, and I want to get your opinion on this, of course, everybody in the chat as well, is it's using the Hellblade engine. And like I said in the opening, Hellblade to this day is one of their most impressive made titles. And if you look at how that title was made with the limited staff, the limited budget, it blows me away. And to think that there are actually people within the content creator family that we roll with, and then I've seen different videos. People are actually starting to have doubts about this simply because it's a game that they might have had put away because they couldn't afford to do it 6 years ago. So I mean, okay, so they came up with this game, right? It's been sitting just because the game it's been on design boards for 6 years doesn't make it any relevant if it's made with 2019 or 2020 in mind. So my question to you, first of all, and I have two, Drew, how exciting is to hear that Ninja Blade is going to be putting out a console exclusive, an original IP, something that the Xbox has not had in a while, and more importantly, what the premise of the game, does that excite you as a fan?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say as well, on the point that you said a moment ago, with regards to people have their doubts because this project might have been shelved for a long time due to this, due to that. Like, just listen up now, guys. Everyone in the chat. Like, I'd say most developers. I'll go on a limb and say this because I don't know this for sure. I am in fact theorizing, but I wouldn't be surprised if most, if not all, developers have under the sleeve projects or shelved projects that like ideas, like would you agree, Boom, that like
Yes, I agree 100%.
yeah, I mean, like, I'd say honestly, even developers like 343 and the Coalition, who were literally like not founded as such, but like just Microsoft bought them and was like, right, 343, you're doing Halo. Coalition, you're doing Gears. But I bet you £1 million that they have shelved some ideas to fall back on in case the day ever comes where Microsoft's like, right, what else can you do? Do you want to try something else? And then they'll have but probably a handful of ideas to work on. It wouldn't surprise me. So for people to feel like uneasy with that kind of information, if it keeps your mind at ease, don't let that bother you, because it wouldn't surprise me if it's a common thing with developers. But no, man, in answer to your question, with Ninja Theory, could this be the next big thing? What are my expectations? Like, I'll just say this: like, I haven't played Hellblade yet. It is just honestly, man. I don't blame you.
Boo.
I don't blame you at all, man. It is literally one of many games on my backlog. Metro Exodus and World War Z at the moment are pretty much the games that
I'm buying World War Z today, as a matter of fact.
Oh, mate, it's very good. It's very fun. I haven't played a great deal of it. I actually played a bit of it with Dealer Gaming the other night, but great game. But like Metro and World War Z have pretty much taken the helm at the minute. Before that was Anthem. So I'm trying to conquer my backlog so I can get to games like Hellblade, because it certainly is a game I want to play. But from a gameplay perspective that I've seen on YouTube, opinions from friends like yourself, and from the small amount that I have played, it is very safe to say that, from what I can gather, that Ninja Theory have a very big talent at their fingertips when it comes to character design, story, and even tackling sensitive topics like depression. So,
yes.
I think it's very impressive when you really consider, and you mentioned it a moment, Boom, the budget of that game. So why on earth, with that information that I just said now, like, why the hell would I be worried about, like, if this is going to, I have no doubt it's going to be a good game. Like, now they have a AAA budget and the backing of Microsoft. These leaks and this information you provided me, Boom, sounds very interesting to say the least. In answer to your question, though, I simply just expect a quality title. Like, not in an entitled way, like, if it isn't a 10 out of 10, I'm not buying it, god damn it. But I just mean, like, in the sense that Ninja Theory are very good at what they do. They clearly have a pedigree.
Yes.
So
Good point.
yeah, oh mate, exactly. So I wouldn't expect anything less than quality, because that's what they're good at, producing quality, quite obviously. So the moment, and also there was a point in the article where you referenced God of War, and how it might be God of War-esque in terms of the exploration and stuff like that.
Yes, well, there's going to be boss battles at the end of each level. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I
Yeah.
actually did not mention it. I put it in the show notes and I kind of just read over it. That's a great point. Why don't you take it from there, dude?
Yeah, yeah. Well, God of War, like, just look at God of War as an entity. Like, it really was reciprocated positively to many a gamers for its style, for the gameplay. It wasn't like a true RPG. It had the like almost capped RPG element, a lot like Metro Exodus, where you're given these wide areas to explore bit by bit. It was very much reciprocated positively. A lot of people really like that style, and if that's what they're going to adopt, I think that's amazing. But I will be honest, the first thing I thought of when I read it was reference to God of War in its comparison, my first thought was, hopefully though it'll have co-op, because I think that's where God of War may have dropped the ball, because to give a game co-op, just some form of multiplayer, just promotes replayability and longevity in a title. So if this game is going to have a very gripping and heavy story with boss battles and open landscapes to explore, like God of War, that's already ticking one hell of a box. Not to mention you've got Ninja Theory behind it, who are an amazing developer that created fantastic games already. All the boxes are ticked, and you're telling me by this leak that there's going to be a co-op mode as well. Like, for longevity and replayability, if this leak is accurate, it seems Ninja Theory are going down a very positive road with this new title. And I think that E3 is going to be a great show with some big announcements and trailers, but I do fully expect this IP to have a big impact at the conference.
Yeah, it's funny you should bring that up, because I do want to stress this. With any leak, and we say this all the time, it should be taken with a grain of salt. But there's a lot of information that we've broken down, and the one thing I think is completely clear is that Ninja Theory is going to be front and center come E3 2019. And not only is that big for Microsoft, but more importantly, it's big for Ninja Theory for a lot of reasons. We got to remember, we don't know. All we can say is that from what we heard, prior to being purchased by Microsoft, they were in dire straits as a company, as a developer. And like I've said on many development houses that have been forced to close because of financial problems, it's always sad in the industry to see a story developer go away. We saw that happen with Telltale, right? With all of their games, okay, some of them weren't for everyone, but they did make some quality titles. They're gone, and they're not coming back, man. That genre may not ever reach its head again in gaming. We have a few titles like it, but no one's ever going to do it like them. So that, when you see a studio close, it's sad. So the fact that they didn't close, the fact that we're getting a new IP, and I say we're talking about the Xbox, the platform hasn't had a new IP in a very long time.
No,
and that is a big deal.
Also, it's worth mentioning, and this for me just speaks volumes at the pedigree and the talent and what Ninja Theory as a developer have to offer. When they undertook Hellblade, it's no secret they were financially in the red. They were looking at bankruptcy. They were looking at being closed down. Their whole future as developers rested in whether Hellblade would succeed or not. And Hellblade, quite literally, well, it exploded, and it caught the attention of Microsoft, as well as Microsoft catching the attention of other projects they had behind the scenes. And Christ, if your games can grab if in dire straits, when you're looking at a bloody face palm and a wallet with dust in it, for your game to grab the attention of a juggernaut company like Microsoft, you've got to just tap yourself on the back. Like, that literally speaks volumes on what you can bring to the table if afforded the right opportunities. So this new IP, I have no doubt, is going to be absolutely fantastic. A change of pace, something fresh, something that Xbox has definitely needed. And I'm very excited, Boom.
You know, real quick, I just want to shout out Jordan Ship in the chat. He asked a question. It says, "Hey, Boom, saw you're going to pick up World War Z. Quick question: if Xbox is having multiple consoles next generation, how will that work with, say, a multiplayer game that will load way faster on older Xbox?" The way Phil has explained it, and again, this is a slightly off topic, but of course, you know, I like to include everyone in the chat because you guys are amazing, and your questions, you know, we like to answer as many as we can while still maintaining the show's integrity. The way Phil Spencer has explained it is that when they talk about Xbox, it's a family of consoles. So what's going to happen is if you have the Anaconda and someone is playing on an older, like let's say an Xbox One S, you're going to load into the map quicker. I think what's going to wind up happening is you're just going to have to wait for that your friend to load in, and I've seen that happen numerous times with people using X hardware versus vanilla hardware. Or people that changed to an SSD drive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, the solid state drives obviously are better than what we currently have. My brother actually changed his on his Xbox, and he said it's unbelievable the speed difference. There's a lot of factors there, but I think you're just going to have to wait, I guess, a few minutes or a few seconds more for you to load in or for your friend to load in.
Can I just say something, Boom?
Please, by all means, go ahead.
I just want to address who was it who asked the question again?
It was Jordan Ship.
Yeah, Jordan Ship. Excellent question, my dude. If it makes you feel any better, like even right now, that's a scenario that is happening all the time. Like most evenings when I jump on my Xbox One X, which is currently the most powerful console available, I play a lot of I don't like FIFA, Boom. I'm not really an EA Sports fan, but a lot of my friends who are casuals, all they play is FIFA, and they've still got their Xbox One fat models, and we're playing FIFA for hours and hours most evenings, and even PUBG. And while I can hear them over the mic going like, "Oh, the map hasn't rendered. Oh, bollocks!" while I'm already in the buildings harvesting weapons, laughing at them. You know, it's like there is a noticeable delay, but it's not completely. Not once have I had an experience where it has hindered like a gaming experience with friends with like less powerful hardware. So I'm just speaking from personal experience, but it's happening right now. So moving forward, if it continues to happen, if people are still going to stick with the Xbox One S or whatever, you know, they'll just have to bite the bullet and accept their fate, really. But it won't hinder. Once they're loaded in and they're playing, you'll all be in the same lobbies doing the same thing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, it's eventually, and I'd like to believe this again. This is not trying to box anybody out, but if you're a gamer, right, you're not a casual, not a person that just buys 2 games a year. We're talking about an actual gamer who this is a hobby of yours. It's not a second thought. It's what you go. It's your go-to for an enjoyment. Well, that's because you want to get away from troubles at home, hard day at work, whatever, or you just want to hang out with friends and talk, via the mic. You're probably not going to be playing on a base Xbox One in the future. Maybe now, okay, but eventually people are going to want to upgrade because listen, Power Mad. We're going to talk about that in a little bit because obviously you can see the headline of the title of today's show about Anaconda confirmed as being more powerful than the PS5. We're gonna discuss that in full detail. But Drew, you had written up a pretty damn good topic regarding Halo, and because Halo's the next topic, I'd like you to lead the charge on the Halo topic.
Oh, you want me to read my original one?
Yes, yeah, your original one. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. I almost was expecting it to come after, but
no. We're 50-50 here, brother. You write topics. It's your turn, my friend.
Oh, fantastic. Well, as Boom just said, everyone in the chat, we have got a lot of Halo stuff to talk about. So I figured my original topic this week would be Halo themed. And it's quite a simple one, and I'd love to get your answers in the chat as well, guys. But Boom, this is what I have for you. With Halo being a hot topic in today's show, for a bit of fun, I have 2 very different questions regarding Halo. They're both quite unrelated to one another, apart from the fact that it's about Halo. But question number one for Boom and, of course, the chat. If 343 Industries decide to branch off and make a prequel game, much like Bungie did with Halo Reach and Halo ODST, which character or story would you like to see made?
That is a really good question. I got to be honest with you. Here's the thing. This is going to be this is an answer that might actually surprise a lot of people. First of all, we all understand that Master Chief is front and center, and he deserves to be. Like I said, he is a gaming pillar within the space of gaming, and I mean that for across the board. I'm talking about Mario. I'm talking about Nathan Drake. Kratos. Laura Croft. There are certain characters that transcend generations, and the names that I just rattled off are all should be on these pedestals, and Master Chief right there along with them. But you know what? Here's the thing: you're talking about branching off. I know this is crazy. I know this is outrageous what I'm about to say, but I would really, really love an original story unrelated to Master Chief, unrelated to what we have seen as going back as far as Reach, and I would like to see a Covenant original title
Nice.
where the flood was involved. Let's go back and see how they dealt with the flood. Let's see how the flood were created, what exactly happened, and in full detail, and you using characters that would be new to you. You understand? New to the franchise. It would be considered a new IP. Yes, involved in the Halo universe, sure. But these would be new characters that, if they didn't die in this particular story, could eventually show up in a later, a Halo 7 or a Halo 8, and you would have an affection for these characters because you played through this Covenant story. That's what I would like.
Dude, you've completely dwarfed my answers.
I apologize.
Oh, mate, I don't even want to say mine now. No, well, my choices was an ODST 2 because I really liked the original ODST game. I really liked that, so I'd love to see 343 take on an ODST 2. But more than that, I'd love to see a Sergeant Johnson origin story.
Dude, that is just as good. Do not put the bag of shame on you. Take that bag off because that is dope. I would play that in a second.
Man, imagine, in a sense, Boom, that could be the Halo universe's equivalent to like a Battlefield game or a Call of Duty game, because he's a human, and if it was an origin story, it would literally be like just like him as a teenager going into the military, the training side of it. Like, I'd love to see his whole journey right up until we meet him in like Halo 2. So for people who want to play the games in order, they could play that game just before Halo 2 or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to see that. Sergeant Johnson is iconic.
He is. Again, he's one of those characters. Again, it transcends games. Obviously he was involved in Halo 1, right? Combat Evolved, and until he met his untimely demise, which a spoiler here, folks, he went through several games, and he was an important and iconic character, mind you.
No, absolutely. I'm glad though that you took the bag of shame off of me. I appreciate that, Boom. You got my back,
real quick, because I'm reading the chat, and the chat is, first of all, 131 people watching. My God, guys, the Welsh and I cannot thank you enough for the support. This is a passion project. The Xbox, in my opinion, and I think Welsh will agree, we're not getting the proper light it deserved, and that's how we decided on coming up with this program. And I'm so glad you guys are enjoying it. And when this many people watching this time of day, it makes me and Drew smile that what we're doing is not only good, but the community is accepting of it. But Jesse Darby in the chat, he has a question, and he says he wants to know whether we think he's a casual gamer or a hardcore gamer. Now, here's the thing. First of all, it would be very tough to answer it without actually knowing you. But I am going to say this. You're in the chat every time I do a show. I would consider that a hardcore person, because the casual person who only plays games every now and again, buys 3 games a year. You know what they are: the Call of Duty, the 2K, the FIFA, or the Madden. That's a casual person. They could care less about what people are talking about video games because they don't care. So you would be considered, in my opinion, a more hardcore gamer just based on the fact that you're asking the question, number one, and number two, you're in the chat all the time. So if you didn't care about gaming, you would be considered a casual. But I don't think otherwise.
No, I completely agree. Like for me, like I don't know one casual that would go out of their way
would actually listen to these shows.
Yeah. You know, like it's same people who watch like Inside Xbox. Like you'd never catch a casual watching Inside Xbox. So
exactly,
yeah,
yes.
You sit pretty there, my young Padawan. You're doing just fine.
Very well.
Right. Question number 2 for you, Boom and chat. If you could choose a game mode from any game in the world, so that's literally any game, doesn't have to be a Halo game, what game type would you love to see in the Halo Infinite's multiplayer?
You know, we actually going to talk about it. We're literally going to roll segue after this question into the next one, and it's going to be interesting. You know, the thing is this: one thing about Halo that they did from the onset of Halo 2 was big team battle, and from what we're hearing, they're going to expand on that tenfold. In regards to a game mode, you know, I got to be honest. Nothing really just pops into my head. You know, that for a mode, because you know they have the standard death match. You know, they have big team battle, right? You know, they obviously introduced you know, the warfare mode where it was PvP versus PvE as well. And in Halo 5, which was fantastic. I mean, that's literally what to save the game, because Halo's 5 story wasn't my favorite. Let's just say that. You know what? Maybe it'll jog some, you know, emotions with me. What is your answer, Welsh?
Mine are these two, and this was the easiest question for me, and I feel kind of like I cheated because I did say any game in the world, but
yeah,
I've chose Invasion from Halo Reach.
Strong. That's a strong one.
Oh, mate, it is. That game type was incredible, and the traditional firefight mode from Halo ODST.
Yeah, good.
I know they had firefight in Halo 5, but it wasn't the traditional one. It wasn't the same thing. I'd love they don't even have to call it firefight. I'd love to see like a horde mode, like with Gears 4, when you can like make barriers and barricade yourself, and you have like 50 waves, and each wave gets increasingly hard with every 10th wave being a big boss. I'd love for them to like do something like that. So not even firefight, just a really, really like, you know, hard and challenging horde mode. I'd love to see that. Maybe even like, you know, like Nazi zombies.
Yes.
Maybe that, but instead of zombies, just have freaking hundreds of flood running.
Yeah, that's great. I was just gonna say the flood would fit perfectly in there. I gotta say, this chat's incredible. First of all, I have to shout out Jose Segura. He says space combat, which was in Halo Reach.
Ooh, nice.
Dude, that is mint. That's a home run pick right there. Some really good ones too. You know, the why not have this is from the Human Spider. Why not have snowball fight / dodgeball? That's great. I love that. That's a funny one. A Savage No Neck says everyone is afraid to say it. Battle Royale. We're going to talk about that in a hot second. And I Rodella says something similar to Trials of Osiris from Destiny. Wow, that's a good one too, dude. That's a strong pick. Look, I gotta say, let me just say this. Halo you know, 6 or, you know, Infinite is coming. And it is going to be, from what we're hearing, not only the most impressive Halo in the history of the franchise, with the new if I get it right, it's not the the Slipstream engine. I always get them messed up. The Slipstream engine. I think it's going to be a head turner. I'm hoping that we get to see something at E3. But you know what? Now that we're talking about modes, and I kind of want to segue into the next topic. You know, the Halo developer, obviously, which is 343 Industries, responds to rumors of a battle royale mode coming to Halo Infinite, and some people in the community, quite frankly, are freaking out about it. An insider claims that Halo Infinite will feature a battle royale, and I say, what's the big deal, Drew? It's just another mode of play, nothing more, nothing less. Now, if you guys tuned in a couple of weeks ago, where we had Brad Sams, the excellent Xbox insider, he basically said on the air that he heard from someone that mode is in there, and again, he's not 343 Studios, but he does have those hooks. You know what I'm saying? Well, the rumors that we're talking about, Drew, went into overdrive on April 19th, of course, after Brad Sams made a YouTube video saying that this unique Battle Royale mode would be included, as well as confirming our story, Drew, that the $500 million budget is in fact true. So we actually broke some news on this little program. So this is what this is what Frank O'Connor had to say in response to this. Given the understandable attention this video drew from Halo, 343 Industries employees and Halo Infinite developer took it upon himself, which of course we're talking about Frank O'Connor, to respond on Reset Era, no less, to exactly what's going on. He obviously takes this stuff real serious, and I guess he wanted to get in front of it before it ran, I guess, spiraled out of control. He says this, Drew and chat: "We will not talk about launch content of Halo Infinite until we're ready!" Exclamation point. P.S. By the way, I haven't watched the video, so if I'm misinterpreting the headline as Halo Infinite launching with as a Halo Battle Royale mode, that is still not the case. You can probably make your own Battle Royale mode in Forge even right now. That's a mode, not a genre. That's actually, I'm glad he said that, because we just talked about that a second ago. And all the variants are, all of the variants out there are now, in my opinion, quite radically different from my perspective. He says Apex versus Fortnite is chalk and cheese. One focuses on movement and map traversal, and the other on building and budgeting. Like CFT, BTB, which is big team battle, Super Fiesta, for example, contains a lot of shenanigans and emergent fun of that kind of large experience, but big sandbox modes are not battle royale any more than Oddball is capture the flag. I mean, Drew, first of all, what do you say to that? Well, look, I'm not going to front. He seemed a little bit snippy, but yeah. I think that he has a right to be, because he obviously is the lead dev on this, and I guess he was tired of the shenanigans.
Right, well, I'm going to first and foremost say that 500 million figure, the fact that now it is confirmed, that is outstanding. Oh my God.
It is.
But on the topic at hand, with Frank O'Connor pretty much just putting out that flame, you could argue. Like, whatever, they say where there's smoke, there's fire, but he quite literally poured a bucket of water over any fire that, people thought that was, embering. No, it's an interesting one. Like you said it best. End of the day, Frank O'Connor couldn't be any more clear in what he's saying. Of course, there is a chance he's lying, so it's a surprise for the many people that do want a battle royale. But taking his word for it, it seems pretty concrete at this point that there will not be a battle royale in Halo Infinite, at least not at launch. But with that said, I'll say to you and the chat exactly what I said to Brad Sams when he was a guest. And if you remember, Boom, he asked us our thoughts on it. Before he confirmed that he has heard rumblings of a Battle Royale mode, he asked us the question, how would you two feel about Battle Royale in Halo Infinite? And, I'll say exactly the same thing that I said to him. I just don't understand why people are bitching and crying about games having Battle Royale.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that again.
Boom, honestly, like me and you, we're brothers from another mother, brothers from across the pond. We were separated at birth. We share the same brain. It is just common freaking sense. Like, to me, that the logic is flawed. It's quite literally flawed. Everyone in the chat, right, if you ever come across someone on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, bitching and crying into a pillow because they don't want Battle Royale on their game,
It's just
Tell
a
them that,
mode, man.
oh, man, literally,
Please.
it's literally no different to if someone just started bitching and moaning about having team deathmatch in Call of Duty. It's like, honestly, it's a freaking mode. It's a mode. Like,
Yeah.
it's an option. Like, it's not like Player Unknown Battlegrounds where, it was a $30 price tag game and you literally have zero other option than to play Battle Royale. This would be in effect if it ever did come to Halo and for other games as well, like Battlefield or Call of Duty. Like, it's just one of many modes. The key
Yes.
word being
Yes.
modes,
Yeah.
plural. So if hypothetically Halo did adopt its own version of Battle Royale, it's there as a option,
Right.
which
It's
is
just it's just added to the 15 other game modes that they
yeah.
already have.
Exactly. Like, you'll still have your free for all, you'll still have your zombies mode, your big team battle. It would just be an added mode, which I guarantee, for the record, that most people would at least try and likely enjoy it even if they're not huge battle royale fans. Because if you're a Halo fan, you're probably going to enjoy it, regardless. So just remember, people, before you get all up in your feelings about the extra option at your disposal, just ask yourself, am I being forced to try this? Because most cases, the answer is a simple no.
No, you don't
Hence the
have to
word
you can act
option.
as if it's not even there.
Exactly. Hence the
Yeah.
word option.
Yeah.
Like, it's an option. No one's putting a gun to your head and saying, yo, bro, play this battle royale mode. I'll put a cap in your ass. Like, you ain't getting you ain't getting any of that. Like, that's all I can really say, Boom. For me personally, I welcome it. It wouldn't
I
bother
said,
me at
yeah,
all.
I agree. It's just a
But
mode.
but
Yeah.
like, because before you know it, Boom, much like free for all or team deathmatch or capture the flag, where any one of those modes would have had to have started somewhere on one game or another. So before you all know it, like, those modes are now taking over most FPS shooters, and I'm telling you, before you know it, most, if not every, competitive multiplayer shooter will have a battle royale mode to fight, in it, like as an option. I wouldn't surprise me. So I don't see the point in people fighting it, because it is just a new mode. It's gaining popularity. Most game devs are going to jump on that shit because it's trending like mad on Mixer and Twitch, and it's just an option. Christ, hashtag modes, hashtag options.
Yeah. Listen, before I get into what Frank had to say, gotta do a couple of really big shout outs. First of all, Ricardo Williams with the outstanding $5 super chat. He says, "Great show. Thank you guys for." He says, "Great show. Thank you guys for a great show every Thursday." Well, first of all, thank you for being here. The fact that you tune in every Thursday it warms our hearts, because this is, again, I say it all the time, it was a big passion project. Both of us thought that the Xbox was getting way too much shade on social media and within the YouTube community, and we wanted to do something different by offering a positive, more exciting way to look at Xbox. And I'm really glad you're enjoying it. So thank you for being here, and also thank you for the super chat. And Nerdy Metalhead, first of all, dude, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're glad you're enjoying. He says ODST game is like the old Rainbow Six games. Yes, the old Rainbow Six games is so good. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the comment. And Corey Hale with the outrageous $20 super chat. He says, shout out to Boom Welsh in the chat. Oh, no, so I want to say shout out to you for two reasons. One, of course, for being here first and enjoying the show. And of course, the $20 super chat. That is extremely kind of you. So thank you guys for that. But let me just continue reading what Frank had to say. He said the launch modes for multiplayer are not 100% defined and are subject to change till quite late in the process. But the battle rifle will still be there, so you can have your BR. He was being cool. He's being, quite pincy, if you will. But we are interested in big social modes with loads of organic shenanigans. Yes, specifically a blimp full of survivors heading to an island after a lecture. From Beat Takashi, no, with an exclamation point. We are not doing this as of now, and no plans to do it. But Battle Royale could be made for any of the Halo games in the Master Chief Collection or 5 with some content and scripting additions, because it's simply a mode, and we just kind of went over that. Look, let me just say this. First of all, I respect Frank O'Connor to the absolute maximum level of professionalism. I don't have. I know some people were like, why was he getting snippy? Because quite frankly, they're under a significant amount of pressure. Again, it's real easy to walk into a store, or nowadays simply go to your console, push the buy button, and Halo Infinite is coming down onto your system, downloaded with the day one patch, and you just sit there and people criticize and they want to be kind of a-holes about things. That's really easy. But you don't until you're in a developer's shoe where they're putting in 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days to make sure the game that you just shitted on is good. You might want to, kind of, hit the backspace button on what you want to comment on and just give these guys a bit of a break. Now, if Halo 6 comes out and fails, then the Welsh and I will come out here and we will, in a proper manner, discuss why it failed. But I don't expect that's going to happen. So the people that were,
something on what you're saying, Boom?
Please, by all means, go right ahead.
Because with regards to this and like the snippiness and the pressure on them, like, game development isn't easy, but I think when you have a developer, and in this case it's 343, where a lot is riding on this particular game because this will be their third attempt at bringing Halo back to the forefront, and quite frankly, 3 strikes and you're out. I imagine that in a sense, for at least the fan base, maybe not Xbox, they'll probably pump out Halo games until their hands fall off. But like in terms of the fan base, the people who are like, die-hard Halo fans, this is probably like their last sort of leap of faith. Like, like our faith is with you, 343. Like, please make it happen because I want Halo to be back where it was. But my point is, development isn't easy, so they've got a lot of pressure on them, and especially in the case of like 343, I compare it to a chef cooking steak. Now, if you were at a table with 10 strangers, 10 like complete strangers, and they're going to be taste testing steak, nobody knows how the steak's going to be cooked. All they know is they're getting steak. Now, the chef comes out with 10 plates, 10 steaks, 1 steak on each plate, guaranteed 50-50. 5 people are going to absolutely love how it was cooked, and the other 5 are going to be complaining about it being either overcooked or undercooked. It's not the way I like it. There's not enough blood in there, or the edges are a little bit too burnt. My point is, in this case, this analogy, the point I'm trying to make is with game development, you're not going to please everyone. And when everyone's eyes are on you specifically in the moment, everyone's going to have their say. Everyone's going to want something. Everyone's going to... I remember with Halo 5, I remember interviews where Frank O'Connor and team were coming out and saying, like, you can't please everyone because you've got the hardcore old school fans and the people of today. And it's just crazy. Like, it's just crazy. I think they got a lot on their plate, and I don't blame them really for biting a little bit. I applaud them. I think they got a lot of good things going in their direction.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, to say the least. You know what? But here's where we're going to get into some really big talk when you talk about Xbox. And this is a story that I pulled from Gaming Bolt, more specifically because it's a question that they asked. I answered it. I sent you the DM notes, and I want to get what the chat has to say, because I had a lot to say about this. Obviously, you know that. This was the headline to this story. Sony's decision to come clean with information about the PS5 was genius. Should Microsoft follow? So this was my rebuttal to this. As we know, Drew, unexpectedly and completely out of nowhere, Sony released some information about the upcoming PlayStation 5 earlier last week via an interview with, of course, renowned tech outlet Wired. And while they were careful to keep things vague and close to the chest, they wouldn't, they didn't even commit on actually calling it the PS5, which I thought was a little strange. Instead, opting to use the more ambiguous next generation PlayStation term. They did share a few concrete details, and those were enough to have console gamers around the world salivating. Of course, listen, we've said this on this show. If you're a PlayStation fan or you're a supporter like I am, The news for PlayStation has been light, to say the least, and quite frankly, extremely disappointing, because we know what happened in 2018. We know what's not happening in 2019. You know what I'm saying? So they literally had no choice but to put this information out there, because they have to keep the PlayStation name going within social media, within commercials. We know that Days Gone is coming out. It's not getting the best reviews. Even Greg Miller said it was a poorly executed game. If you follow Greg Miller, see what he said about it. And I appreciate his honesty. Still not going to sway me from picking up my collector's edition tomorrow after Avengers Endgame. But for the Sony fan base, Drew, it was the biggest and best news that they've had all year, and of course they ate it up like Sunday dinner. And I think, and this is in my opinion, of course, this was a Hail Mary by Sony. They're not attending E3 2019. They have not, as of this show, announced any plans for their PSX or any special events where they're going to unveil the PS5. Now, is that probably going to happen? It is. I mean, you'd be a fool to bet against Sony. They're the masters of marketing, right? So they're going to be playing this up big. But we don't know anything as of this show. So right now, all we have is question marks. But you know what? I don't want to talk about that anymore. What I want to talk about is what's missing from the groundbreaking interview from Wired.com and, of course, Mark Cerny. And Drew, here are my questions that have not been answered. And I'm going to pose this to the chat, and I'm going to pose this, of course, to Drew. Okay. Where was the clock speed conversation of the GPU, of the CPU? What was the teraflop count on the GPU? And he Mark Cerny in this interview talked about the 3D audio. It got him really excited. Well, it turns out that the Xbox One X supports Dolby Atmos, which is something that Sony and the PS4 do not support. So basically, it's their version of Dolby Atmos. Big deal, right? He wasn't clear on what SSD drive that they're going to be adding. And right now, is it the market leading $300 SSD drive, or is it the bargain basement, $150 or $99 in mass production SSD drive, something less powerful to cut costs? That's and listen, guys, I'm not poking fun at Mark Cerny. He's a genius, and I'm a dummy, and I'm okay with that. But this is the same guy, Drew, that said the PS4 Pro was 8.4 teraflops using rapid packed math. So yeah, take it away, Drew.
Right. First, I want to address the frickin' Gaming Bolt title. Like, we've called out clickbait before. Like, should Microsoft follow this genius move? Like, there's nothing genius about it. Like I got a simple answer to that. No. Xbox should not follow suit at all. They are waiting to unveil at the biggest conference in the gaming
Thank
world.
You very much.
That is E3. Come on. It's not Xbox's fault that Sony aren't going to E3. So why the fuck, pardon my language, should they reveal the Xbox Scarlet family early when they could just wait that little bit longer for that bigger stage? Like, absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I can't, honestly, I can't stand these media sites when they try to twist things like that. It's like I'm going to get into Sony's props now, but that title just, for me, titles like that demoralize or almost dequalify. I don't know, maybe I'm using the wrong word, but it makes Sony's decision, which is otherwise genius in their circumstance, look less genius because of course shitty, stupid headings like that. But going into what I think about Sony and their decision, and with regards to all the details, like, I think Sony did the smart thing. As I just said, they won't be at E3 this year, so they had to make their presence known and have PlayStation on gamers' minds leading up to E3 before Xbox steals the show. And I say steal the show quite comfortably, because how can you not steal the show when there's no one to bloody contend against? And, an Xbox put on a great show anyway. So it's fair to say that all eyes will be on them. So Sony did the smart thing. I'll give them credit where it's due, and you gotta appreciate the marketing as well. Like they might have had a say in it. They know that they're very good, should I say, at timing when to drop these bombs. They're probably going to go into the details of specs, any missing details to answer your questions, Boom, and ultimately, the most important, the price. And now this is the kicker. I reckon they're going to drop the second part of said bombshell with all those details, including the price, quite literally the moment after Xbox announces the specs and price of the Anaconda at E3.
Yeah,
basically, mate, basically, I'm not joking, it'll be a rinse and repeat, the exact same strategy that they used at E3 2012 or 2013 with the reveal of the PS4 and Xbox One, where they went backstage, scribbled out the 500 and put down 399 or whatever it is they put down instead. It is a pattern we've come to know. Sony are sneaky bastards, and I'm guaranteeing you that that's what they're doing. But with the only difference being, if Anaconda is in fact significantly more powerful and not on par or just a little bit more powerful than the PS5, then Sony is going to make price their biggest advantage, like they did with PS4 at the start of this generation. So Sony, they had to announce the PS5 when they did to get people hyped. If they had waited too long, Boom, the closer it got to E3, if they left their announcement, as close as it got to E3, I reckon it would have carried less weight.
Yeah, it would have definitely been, inconclusive, in my opinion, to it actually mattering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's had time for people to digest, for the media to cover it. If they had, and if after E3 they had decided to announce PS5, it would have shared the media coverage and the limelight with the Xbox Scarlet announcing at E3. So big ups to Sony when they dropping this PS5 information, because all the media sites are running with it. Everyone's talking about PS5, and they've got at least however many more weeks till E3 for people to be talking about the PS5. So it is very clever. But, all in all, it was a smart move for Sony to come forward. But I guarantee that anywhere between an hour after Xbox's conference to a week of the conference, anywhere between then, Sony will release the full reveal with all the details, all the specs, and ultimately the price that will no doubt undercut whatever Xbox Anaconda's price is.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because first of all, I want to answer the question that I posed to the chat, of course, as well as you. And the big answer here is absolutely not, for everything that you said and then some. At this point, Drew, Microsoft is in the driver's seat for, and there's no doubt that E3 2019 is theirs to win or lose. And Phil Spencer is well aware of how important the conference is for the fan base, the platform, but more specifically, the industry. And in my opinion, tipping their hand would be a huge mistake. They do not have to do a copycat. Ours is bigger than yours. They're going to do that in front of millions and millions of cameras and reporters and fans in less than 2 months. We're closing in on the end of April, and obviously we're probably 40 something days away from E3, from their event. Maybe it's a little more, maybe my math is off, maybe between 40 and 50 days away. It is going to be the biggest show for Xbox in the history of the conference. But I want to move on and segue into the next topic, keeping with the power narrative, Drew, and keeping that in the back of our minds. The next generation Xbox is more advanced and has been confirmed as to be more powerful than the PlayStation 5. And this information comes to us again from Gaming Bolt. And on Twitter earlier last week, a journalist named Ansley Bowden cited multiple insiders who have revealed the next generation Xbox console will be significantly more advanced than the Sony system. Bowden later clarified that this information comes to him from known sources on Microsoft and Xbox details who have been accurate on leaks in the past. Bowden also told followers that the suggestion of the next Xbox will have better specs than the PS5 shouldn't be surprising, as Microsoft has been touting its plans to have the most powerful next generation console for quite some time. And while the release date for the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox haven't been confirmed, Drew, Bowden has said that next year is going to be amazing for fans of both brands, and he is correct in saying so. This isn't the first time someone has indicated that the two consoles will launch in 2020. NPD analyst Matt Piscatella, who I'd love to get on this show eventually, predicted that Sony and Microsoft would officially unveil their systems this year, and that the PS5 and the next Xbox would release in 2020. And that's actually not surprising at all. But I have a few questions for you on this particular subject, and of course, the amazing chat. Next year, there's no doubt it's going to be amazing for fans of both consoles. But when Xbox holds the power crown, and they will, and the first-party games start to roll out, will they, in fact, take back the market share in gaming? That's question one. I'll let you answer that.
Oh, right. Easy answer. Because I've definitely been a huge proponent in saying this, what I'm about to say now, on more than one occasion, and it's such an easy answer to that question. Xbox holds the power crown, whether it is on par, a little bit more powerful, or as leaks are suggesting, significantly more powerful than PS5. They are going to be it's going to be a very capable system. So power, that is ticked. First party this generation has been a questionable thing for Microsoft.
Oh, for sure. No doubt about it. No doubt.
Honestly, by the haters or the lovers of the brand, it has been, in fact, one of the main, is this, what's the crack, Mr. Phil? And he's made a lot of moves, and he's secured a lot of developers, and more to come by the looks. So we have another tick box. Now, your question is, will they take back the market share in gaming? Now, you might remember me saying this before, Boom, but the three things, and this is because of Sony, I've said it before.
Yes.
Sony has led the charge with this, and Xbox must follow suit. And this goes for any competitor in the business. For Google Stadia, if Apple come out the woodwork with a console, if my nan in her basement decides, I'm going to turn my radio into the next gen console, whatever. Who cares? Whoever wants to compete in today's gaming market and going forward, you need these three things. Power, ticked. First party games, ticked. And good, consistent marketing to the casuals. Those are the three things you absolutely need to succeed. So you're asking me, will they take back the market share? Absolutely, if they can fix their marketing. Because in terms of everything else,
good point.
They have absolutely smashed it out the park. As for the power and the first party games, that's going to lead the charge in a lot of ways. The first party and the power crown, those two things are hand in hand. And people can argue, power doesn't mean anything, but it does.
It does.
It is literally, I'll let you segue, because what I'm about to say will be a perfect segue, but it has literally been the narrative of this generation. Take it away, Boom.
Yeah, you had a lot of good points. A lot of good points in the chat as well. First of all, the marketing is going to be key, and I think that if pre-2019 said anything about marketing, it was poor for Microsoft. Their choices of who they marketed their game, third-party games with, were not really well done. There was a lack of it. Letting Call of Duty go was a big mistake. Certain things just stood out there as why they lost market share. And now I'm going to switch that onto the positive side. If 2019 is any indication of their commitment to the brand, to the fan, to the platform, to the industry, look at all the marketing deals that they have done in this year alone. I mean, you talk at some of the biggest games. Say what you want about Anthem. That was a big game. It sold well. It was marketed with Microsoft. Devil May Cry 5 marketed with Microsoft. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. I mean, the list is just ongoing. Metro. There's just so many games that were being marketed on an Xbox console. Why? Well, because the Xbox One X is the most powerful console going, and of course, that's where you want to play and see the game running the best. I mean, that's not a fanboy thing. That's a reality thing. So, I mean, again, take what they did in the past. We accepted it. It is what it is. They're rebounding from that, and they're making strides to be better. 2019, moving forward, it seems like they understand that marketing is important. Why they didn't understand that, I don't know. I don't work for Microsoft, but I would if they offered me a position in marketing.
Sorry, Boom. I got one more thing to say with regards to this question before you move on to question.
No, please go ahead.
With regards to taking back the market, Xbox holding the power crown and having a strong first party, we got to just take into account that PlayStation 5 is also going to be a formidable system, and they have a very strong first party.
Oh, there's no doubt. Their first party is just ridiculous.
So when you ask me, will Xbox take back the market share, I have this to say. They'll have their equal share of the market share, I think. Like, where's early on this generation, Sony just well,
yeah, well, we know what right.
They just rolled with it, man. They if they farted, people were saying it smelled of roses. Everything they did was working. Like, people were flocking to them like flies on shit. They were just doing everything right because they had the more powerful system, which they marketed that way. The price was obviously in their favor. Their first party was looking promising. And it speaks volumes, and then their marketing is undoubtedly the best marketing we've ever seen in a console generation.
Yep, for sure.
So if Xbox can tick all those boxes, and they've already ticked the power and the first party, and if they can tick the marketing, that just leaves it up for, well, it'll be a case of remains to be seen, because you've got two very formidable platforms pretty much in the exact same position going into a brand new generation. It's going to be very interesting, Boom. I can't actually say for certain who's going to quote unquote win, because oh man, it's going to be very interesting.
Well, it certainly, listen, again, with the moves that Microsoft is making, they're not taking any prisoners, and they're not, the Kumbaya candles look like they've been extinguished, because they realize that, yes, they're making money. We're going to talk about that towards the end of the program. Some new stats came out, and it completely blew my mind exactly what they're doing in regards to capital. But with that said, they're making moves, and the ideology of this studio buying blitzkrieg, if you will, is not stopping anytime soon. But here's my second question. I know the chat's going to explode with this one. I know you're chomping at the bit to answer it. It's a fact that the power narrative ruled the roost at the beginning of this generation, and it was as important as air itself to the toxic fanboys of Sony that basically ruined the community. And I'm not taking anything. I'm not throwing any shade. Xbox has toxic assholes too, and I'll put the shade on them as well. I don't like that toxicity stuff. Okay, don't be an a-hole because you're supporting a brand. You don't have to be like that. Just enjoy gaming. But with that said, here is my question for you. Since the Xbox One X launched, it has proven that power matters. Though some people within this community will suggest otherwise. And I disagree with that, because power does matter. It plays games better. There's no doubt about it. My question to the chat, my question to you, does power matter in 2019 and beyond?
Absolutely, yes. 100%. Absolutely. The people who pretend that it doesn't, or they try to make excuses that it doesn't, are just moving the goalpost, especially when you consider, as you put it, the toxic fanboys, because it's true. I mean, you must understand, people in the chat. I, as an individual, wouldn't mind playing my video games on a black and white TV with rabbit ears, as long as I could play games. But at the same time, I'm hypocritical, because I did want the Xbox One X. But that's just because I'm an Xbox fan. I like to keep up with the times. But as a gamer at heart, I don't care. So, if you're asking me, like, does power matter to me? No, it doesn't. Like, if I had to play my games on an Xbox One fat model because I couldn't afford the Xbox One X, I'd still be having fun just like the next person. You know what I mean, Boom?
Right.
So
Okay.
if you're asking, people are asking me, do I think power matters? Then, like, you know, it doesn't matter to me personally, at least not as much as maybe some people. But let's just look at this in perspective as power as a narrative. It has literally, Boom, without any exaggeration, been the driving force of this generation. It has it has been on the end of everyone's tongue. The media, Digital Foundry, most if not every YouTuber at one point or another has made a video or several regarding power. The whole media coverage at the moment, akin to what we were just talking about, has been PS5 specs, PS5 power. How powerful will it be? Will the Xbox be more powerful? Will PS5 be a beast? Will it be a monster? You've all seen the headlines. Why on earth would these media sites be projecting their articles with these massive clickbait headings like PS5 is going to be a beast, it's going to be so powerful, if power wasn't a narrative that people flock towards? That's what I'm trying to get at. If you're asking me personally, do I care? No. If you're asking me, does it matter as its own narrative? Yes, it really does. That's not to say games aren't more or less important. Games are obviously very important. A good hardware, good software, services, everything comes into one full circle. But power is most certainly, arguably, one of the most important things now. It might not have always been the case, but it certainly is after this generation. And anyone who says differently is either a fanboy, moving the goalpost, because, the question, does power matter in 2019 and beyond? Absolutely. And these people, these toxic fanboys, Boom, as well, I guarantee you, because we still don't know how powerful the Xbox Anaconda is going to be. It could completely surprise us and be less powerful than the PS5. But with that said, let's just speak in hypotheticals. If the PlayStation 5 turned out to be more powerful than the Xbox Anaconda,
it'd be in your face every day.
Mark my words, every media site, every fanboy, all those people that were saying a week ago, oh, power doesn't matter, mate. It don't matter, bruv. They'll be the first ones to be like, PS5 is better, PS5 is better. Honestly,
Great.
It's a whirlwind of hypocrites. Power is, in fact, a very important narrative, and it will continue to be a very important narrative. And Xbox knows this, and they'll never fall short. That is why Phil has already stated he'll never be outgunned in power again. He's not a stupid man. He's obviously taken notes. Power was what sold PlayStation at the beginning of this generation. It's what gave them the tremendous lead, being the most powerful console on the market. Because this was before they even had really good games, guys. It was the power and the price. But they marketed that shit. Power matters. And 2019 and beyond, Boom, it's not going to change. Like I said, power, first party, and great marketing is what you need moving forward. But power has been the absolute driving force of this generation, and I don't expect it to change anytime soon.
Yeah, real quick, Rodella in the chat wrote something very interesting, Drew. Microsoft being cutthroat is why Sony fears them the most. The last thing Sony wants is for Microsoft to flex their financial muscles on the gaming world. Well, you know what? That's a great point. I think they're doing that now with buying all these studios, and I have a funny feeling we're going to get anywhere between 3 and 4 more added at E3. I think Phil understands that it went over real well with the community and the excitement for the brand. He gets up on stage at E3 2019 and rattles off 4 new studios. That's going to be a big deal, dude.
Oh, make believe. And what that kid said as well about Sony is scared of Microsoft being cutthroat, flexing their muscles. They already have. If you look at the history books, look, just take a few steps back in time. This is precisely what I'm talking about with regards to this narrative. When it was the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One fat model, when those were the only two SKUs available. You know, there was only one SKU available for each platform. Sorry, it was PlayStation's more powerful. 1080p versus 900p. Power, power. Digital Foundry this, Digital Foundry that. Everywhere you turned, you were constantly being reminded, if you were an Xbox fan at least, that your system was inferior. Now, you know, Xbox took notice. Phil Spencer was reigned supreme, and he come forward and was like, "Oh yeah, we've been working on this beautiful little machine. It's the you know, the Xbox One X." Boom, drop that bomb, and then all of a sudden, like, you could hear crickets. And then once the crickets scurried off and enough time had passed for people to get their breath, they started coming out with a new narrative. Power doesn't matter. So that is quite literally the result of muscles being flexed. PlayStation marketed power, pushed the buttons, and they got a monster contended with them because of that. And the same has happened with their first party. Sorry, guys. Christ. Sorry, Boom.
You're good, bro. Go ahead.
Chloe, get out. Oh, close the door. Oh, it's embarrassing. But yeah,
don't worry about it, brother. Listen, we all have kids. Stop it. Listen, well, let me just say this, Welsh. Let me just say this, and to the chat. You know, when the PlayStation 5 comes out, listen, I'm getting it day one. Let's not forget that I'm a gamer. I buy everything, right? I support all the consoles. I have a PlayStation 4 for their first party. I'm excited for Days Gone. Sure, it's not getting the greatest reviews. That's still not going to make me cancel my pre-order, which of course is the $150 collector's edition. And it's not going to make me go away. I'm still going to buy it. I'm still going to do an unboxing. I'm probably going to enjoy the hell out of the game because I like zombies. But Microsoft is doing something really special here. And I don't think it's going to come into play until these consoles are ready to come out. You know, people keep talking about price. Price matters. Power matters, right? So right now, the Xbox One X is the most powerful console, and we know that Microsoft is going to come out with a 2 SKU attack. And you know, I thought this was genius. You're going to get the Anaconda. And that's going to be the big boy. It's probably going to be 500. Some people, I've seen ridiculous videos from knuckleheads. $700 the Anaconda. Listen, folks. Microsoft is not crazy. They're business people. I don't care how powerful you put the Anaconda is going to be. You put that out there for $6.99, people are going to be fainting in the aisles. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a $500 box. If you want to spend more than that, the PC Master Race is waiting to embrace you. Okay? And then, of course, they have the Lockhart. I believe that's what it's called, right? Yes, the Lockhart is the less powerful, but slightly more powerful than the X. You see, this, my friends, is no one is talking about this, but Drew and I will address it now. This 2-tier attack is, I'll say it again, it's genius. I'm pulling a quote out of Gaming Bolt's ridiculous title. This is genius marketing from Microsoft. Why? Well, if you want the Lockhart isn't for the hardcore. The Lockhart is for the folks that currently have Xbox One Fats and Xbox One S consoles and didn't move to the Xbox One X. Maybe they're just the casual folks. They don't want to spend that kind of money. $500 scared a lot of people. This new, less powerful console is going to be just slightly more powerful than the current X, which that in itself is amazing. And then, of course, for the hardcore, everyone that's in this chat right now is going to be buying the Anaconda. That's going to kind of sandwich Sony's box right in the middle. And I still have a funny feeling. People keep saying, "Oh, it's going to be $399. It's going to be $399." I don't necessarily think so, folks. I think PlayStation, if the shoe is on the other foot, I'd say you might be right. But Microsoft has the money. Sony does not have the money to take a loss on every console. They can't afford it as a company. You know what I'm saying? PlayStation is making a mint for them. That is true. But they're failing in all their other divisions. This is the only part of the Sony umbrella that's making money for them. And that's a proven fact. I'm not making this up. That's not a fanboy talking. That's a realist talking. So Microsoft's coming out with this 2-tier attack, Drew, I think is fantastic, and it puts more pressure on Sony. What are your takes on this?
No, it's an absolutely phenomenal approach. I think I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like PlayStation being, just sticking with the traditional one SKU entry is not going to be. I don't think it's going to. It's not going to go. I don't think it'll go against them that much, to be honest with you. But in terms of people being the Xbox platform appealing to the mass majority, this is going to be a hell of a lot more inviting because like you've got at least a couple of options. And then if you are someone, especially like a neutral or a casual, like you've got no preference and you're sitting there, you've got 3 different prices, the Lockhart, the PS5 or the Anaconda, and you can just pick any one of those. Odds are most people are going to be going for the cheaper entry model, which in this case would be the 1S2, aka Lockhart. So it's a very clever approach because, like you said, you've got the PS5 slap bang in the middle. But I tell you what, though, Boom, I mean, this I didn't believe this before. I have been on record saying that I think the Anaconda will be about 600 minimum. The PS5 will probably be about 499. And then the Lockhart's probably going to be around
399.
Yeah. And then the Lockhart will be around that ballpark. But at the same time, you made a good point that like just makes me theorize about the whole with regards to finance. Like Sony probably will sell at a loss, but it won't be a significant loss. They have not got the financial backing to make a substantial loss. But my argument is,
they don't.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely, they don't. They just don't. Maybe in another 10 years or something, if things go better financially, it might be different. But right here and the right now, they don't have their fiscal numbers are just declining, and it's not even because of PlayStation. PlayStation's the only thing keeping Sony afloat at this point. But my point is, Xbox and Microsoft, they have got the funds, they have got the money, they got enough money that if they're walking down the street and they drop a $10 bill, it's not worth their time to pick it up. So my point is, they can sell at a considerable loss if need be. If we just look back in time at the advantage Sony took with the price point of the PS4, and they're gonna, and like I said before in one or two topics previous, that they might try that shit again and undercut Xbox. I genuinely do think that Xbox should just hold their horses and wait to hear a price announcement of the PS5 before they consider what they're going to price the Anaconda. Because if I'm right in saying that the PS5 will be, say, $500 and the Anaconda was initially going to be like 600 or 650, I do think that it'd be the smart move to charge
to take the loss on the $100.
Yeah, either $100 or like, so basically, like I'd say, like if the Anaconda was like 550 or just 500 or 5, I don't know, but just as close to as possible as whatever the PS5 is offering, because you just don't want PlayStation to get a leg up based on price when you've put all this work in over the last however many years, the Xbox One X, rebuilding the structure of Xbox from its roots, from its foundations, with power, with the one first-party studio, with its services. You want every man, woman, and child and their freaking dog to be going out and thinking, do you know what? I want an Xbox. Because out of these two systems, they're exactly the same price, but Xbox offers way more for the gamer. So I'm going to go for the Xbox. Like, speaking as like a neutral walking into a shop, that's the smartest way to go about it. Whereas that same individual in a circumstance where the Anaconda is 650, the PlayStation 5 is 500, he'll go in and be like, PS5 is cheaper, easy pick. I'll have that one. Do you know what I mean, Boom?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Listen, again, I don't necessarily know if we're going to get price at E3. I think that being that, obviously it's not releasing till 2020. So, it makes perfect sense for them to say, okay, this is what we're working on. Here's a bunch of stuff. Here's what do they show the console? I actually don't. I don't think they have to. Because if it was coming out in March, they'd have to drop a price. But you're talking about from June to next June is 12 months, and then you add another 4 months on top of that. That's 16 months until the Xbox One X 2 launches, or the Anaconda. It's 16, 17 months if they launch in let's say November of 2020. They don't have to do anything right now. They just have to wow the fan base, and make these big promises of, okay, this is what's coming. Here's some of the games that are going to blow you away, and that's all they have to do at this point. Obviously, this E3 is going to be games. We know that it has more power. It's a proven fact from people within the industry. We're not, again, this is not something that me and Drew are making up. This has been confirmed by numerous sources. But you know what? I think we've beaten this to death. Again, it's going to be a great year in 2020 for gaming as a whole. I'm buying both consoles. If Nintendo puts out a new, more powerful Switch, I'll buy that too. But you know what? I want to talk about Playground Games. There was a recent story that I pulled, and they're doing a bit of hiring, Drew. And that got me excited. According to his LinkedIn page, resource manager Nick Duncombe had put a list of what they're looking for on their AAA open world action RPG. They're looking for a game designer, combat designer, lead game designer, mission designer, senior mission designer, lead mission designer, and finally senior technical designer. A lot of big positions they're looking for. Now, look, I'm going to say this. In truth, Drew, I was very excited to read this, but I was a bit perplexed because, to be honest with you, I really had it in my wheelhouse that Fable was in fact going to be a launch title in 2020. So now, after reading this out loud, I'm still excited, and I still think that Fable is going to be a launch title, and here's why. We just talked about from now to launch is about 16 or 17 months, right? The launch window for a console is 90 days. It's 3 months. That's considered part of the launch. It's been like that for years. That's not made up. That's a reality. It's not just games day one. It's a launch window. So if you add those 3 months along with 16 or 17 months, you're talking about 19 to 20 months of development of Fable, the next Fable. We don't know if they're even working on a Fable. We're all assuming they're working on a Fable. But regardless of when the next Fable comes out, Drew, it's no doubt going to be the biggest in the series, without a doubt. Now, whether it's an actual reboot, I don't know. But I'm going to say this, and I want to get your opinion. I want to get the chat's opinion on this. With Playground Games behind the wheel, a pun totally intended, it could be the best looking title on the Xbox Anaconda. Now, Drew, from what we've talked about on this topic, how excited are you for a new Fable? But more specifically, what is your confidence level that Playground Games may in fact be doing this, and can they do the series justice?
Right, before I go ham, because this is a topic I could not wait to talk about, I just want to apologize to you and the chat for that outburst that was my little boy.
Stop it. Come on. Listen, life is life. Listen, don't worry about it.
No, okay, no worry. He just got he made his way up the stairs and got curious as to where I was, so he opened the door. I was like, "Hi, Daddy." I was like,
"That's
"Go
okay.
away."
Listen, the family's first, brother. Don't worry about it. Carry on.
No, I appreciate it, Boom. You're so understanding. I love you, man. You're top notch.
And I love you.
This guy's a hero.
Everyone,
honestly, if it was anyone else, they'd be like, "Well, you're fired." Right. In answer to this phenomenal question, Boom, I have just this to say, and I how many times have I talked about Fable? Literally, the hair's standing up on the back of my neck. Literally, I simply can't wait. And I say, take all the time you need to make this right.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't had a Fable in years. So what is a couple more years? What is an extra year? What's a few months? Like what it doesn't bother me. If you know, if it is going to be as great as like I can only imagine at this point. You know, when you look at Fable 3, it was rushed. There was a lot of promises that weren't kept by
Yeah.
Peter Molyneux.
Yep.
And while I had fun on that game, and I did have fun on that game, it was nowhere near as good as Fable 1 and 2. And then there's the elephant in the room, MrBooMStickXL, and that is Fable Legends. You know, that was a colossal fail by epic proportions, lack of planning, poorly executed development, God knows what else, but it certainly was nothing good. It, you know, leading to its demise, including Lionhead having to be closed down. You know, my
Yep.
point being, Fable as a franchise would be in absolutely no, I'm not going to say would be. I'm going to say is in great hands with Playground Games if it is in fact them, because you know, I have absolutely zero concerns that they will make the best Fable yet. You know, and the excellent news is the half glass full person coming out of me now is even if I am completely wrong about Playground making Fable, which I genuinely think they are, but still, it is a possibility. If it isn't Playground doing Fable, at least we know that whatever open world RPG IP they are working on
It's
is
new.
going to be phenomenal. It
Yep.
is going to be phenomenal. No doubt it will be sensational to say the least. I fully expect a teaser for this game, be it Fable or something else. I fully expect some kind of tease at E3, and that gets me very excited. But if you're asking me, like, you know, just me as the Welsh gamer, like what I think of Playground, and I'm telling you, I'd be very surprised if it's not them working on this. And frankly, the fact that it's them working on this and just everything I said times 10, like they have got talent. They would do they would do a sensational job. I can't wait, man. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to say the least. All I'm going to say is this: if you're a Fable fan, I have been for a very long time. I think that this is going to be obviously a reboot. There's going to be, you know, it's probably going to retain some assets from what we know about Fable. You know, it does have a very heavy British lore slash, you know, comedy bit to it that a lot of people really enjoyed. And some people might be disappointed if that is removed. Me personally, and I've said this from the beginning, and if I get booed off the stage, that's fine. I enjoyed Fable 1, 2, and 3 for what they were. I would like a new reboot. And when I say reboot, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but when you look at what God of War was and what God of War is, it is making a reboot of that significance did great things for Sony. And I would like to see Playground Games or whoever's going to do the next Fable. I want a more serious tone. You know, I want a Witcher kind of themed
Yes.
Fable. That's what I want.
Yes.
I want vast open world. I want missions, side missions that you just stumble upon that are as big as the main missions in the game. You know, I don't want making potions so difficult because it annoyed the hell out of me trying to heal yourself in The Witcher, which again, Witcher 3, brilliant game, but that's the kind of the way I want to see them go. I want, you know, I want them to, you know, be more serious, you know, a less cartoon kind of a look to it. I want a more realistic. When you look at the graphics, you're like, wow, like Gears 5 graphics. Imagine that for Fable. That's what I want.
Yeah. No, I agree with you with regards to it being serious in terms of like a more darker tone, because Fable 1 had its moments where it was really dark, like when the bandits like massacred the village, and Jack of Blades and Twin Blade, and the cutting out of the sister's eyes. There was some
Yeah,
darkness
there
in
was,
that first
yes,
Fable.
serious dark
So
tones for
I would
sure.
happily see them adopt more of that. And the fact that Playground Games is in fact a British developer, they could still plant the seeds with some dry, subtle British humor just to keep that Fable feel.
Yep.
Because you said about The Witcher 3, which is arguably my favorite game this generation by a landslide. That was such an excellent game. And in terms of comparison, it was very dark, very grim, very gory, graphically sound, beautiful, stunning game. But it also had wit. Like, Geralt was genuinely quite funny. There was moments that made me giggle. I was like, oh man, because he's so dry and like emotionless, and he'd come out with these like dry one-liners, and they were sometimes really funny. I'd love to see Playground if they were going to if they're tackling Fable, as we have theorized many a time. I'd love to see them take a lot of inspiration from the original Fable and games like The Witcher 3 for sure. Adopting a new style, a new art style, keeping it, make it a lot more darker undertones, while also maintaining that British wit, bit of humor. Man, I think it'd be epic.
Yeah.
Throw in a pet as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's gonna be a big thing. Before we move on to the next topic, I have to do a real big shout out to two people that just became Patreon members while we were doing the show, and that, of course, is the sheriff of the chat, known as Lethal Papa. Thank you so much, dude. That is greatly appreciated. And following suit was B. Williams in the chat, who became a Patreon member as well. Thank you, gentlemen, very, very much. That is really generous and kind of you to help this channel grow. I'm going to be doing monthly giveaways, and that's going to include games, digital games, as well as digital gift cards for your choice of console. But I want to move on to the next topic, and I've gotten a lot of requests for this. Sea of Thieves has not been a big topic on this show, not because I don't think Rare knocked it out of the park, because I don't play Sea of Thieves because it's the PvP aspect is not what I enjoy about gaming on certain games. And the fact that, you take a game like Destiny, if you want to play that through the whole thing solo, you can enjoy it. The Division, you can play that solo or with friends and have just as much fun. Unfortunately, it's the backstabbing aspect. I understand that they're pirates. I get it. I understand the whole lore. But it didn't appeal to me because I had too many, I guess you can call them ugly circumstances while playing the game. Well, Shores of Gold just got a new trailer, and after watching it 3 times, Drew, I am so going to play this. And of course, this is a story I pulled from Gaming Bolt once again, because they are a great website, even though sometimes they do clickbait. As we know, I have loved Sea of Thieves to the point where I'm proud of Rare for what they did. I'm happy for Microsoft that they have a new IP under their belt. But it's just not been a game for me. I said that a few seconds ago, for a lot of reasons. But I'm going to say this. Apparently, Rare has heard my cries of despair like a siren in the midnight hours, Drew, because the story-driven expansion is part of the 1-year anniversary update that's launching April 30th, and I'm absolutely stoked. And I know you are because you've played it a little bit, but we've known for a long while that Sea of Thieves is getting a big update at the end of the month, and the game's developer, Rare, has slowly been teasing what it was going to be. Now, they haven't given too much away, but this new trailer, Drew, I sent it to you, and your response was priceless. It looks freaking epic, man. It's exactly what I wanted from Sea of Thieves from the get-go. The trailer was, if you haven't seen it, please go to YouTube, type in Shores of Gold for Sea of Thieves, and you watch the trailer and you will be completely blown away. It's like something, it's like a pirate-driven Indiana Jones. At least that's the vibe I'm personally getting. Why this is important, folks, is A, it's free. It's part of the free update. And 2, or B, more importantly, this campaign, the story-driven campaign, is 10 to 20 hours in length. Now, Drew, come on. I mean, first of all, with all of the other additional stuff that they're already adding to this 1-year anniversary, and then you add this 20-hour campaign, story-driven campaign. How excited are you, and what were your impressions from this video I sent you?
Oh man, like this whole topic, like the first thing that comes to mind is quality and longevity.
Yes, good point.
You know, like Sea of Thieves, and I don't care how many people throw me L's, I'll swat them away like flies. Sea of Thieves, honestly, Boom, I mean this wholeheartedly, is arguably one of the most impressive and unique IPs this generation hands down, and it continues to be supported, updated, and improved all the time. And this is only 1 year later. Like, it's unrecognizable to its like launch self. All the hate it got, all the bitching and whining, and it's just hand over fist, just made. Oh, it's incredible. It's just an incredible game. Very unique, very good. I love it. I genuinely do. I've lost so many hours on that game, but you can tell this game will be constantly updated and improved for years to come. So it is no surprise to me at all that this DLC is free. You know, Xbox's first party games are the gifts that keep on giving. No one and done's on Xbox. That's for damn sure. As for the Shores of Gold DLC, though, in question, it looks great, phenomenal, fantastic. I can't wait to play it because I, Boom, lose hours and hours on Sea of Thieves, just controlling my own narrative, doing fortresses with Salty and Titan, hunting for treasure and killing captains with no real goal in sight. We just go around pursuing the seas, attacking other ships, stealing treasure, just being bastards, really. So to actually have a story mode should be very interesting and a lot of fun. Like, because obviously Sea of Thieves, I haven't come to know, and I haven't really come to know it as a story-driven game. It's kind of a free game, like where you do your own thing. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to have its own story, and I'll be playing that for sure. Just ensuring that my backlog remains unfinished. But no, it looks really good, man. That it looks like there's going to be some good boss battles, some big treasure to find, some challenges. I look forward to partying up with a few friends and hitting the seas and doing it, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, if it's going to get Boom involved, then you know that they have something special because, like I said, I love the aesthetics of Sea of Thieves. I love the graphical cartoon-ishness, if you will. I like that. I like what's rare. They made their own game their own, if you will. And I like the choices that they made. Again, not for everyone. And I stayed away from the game simply because it didn't appeal to me on certain levels. This will get me into Sea of Thieves. I'm not saying I'm going to play the multiplayer. I'm still going to stay away from that because it's just not my bag. And I'm okay with that. But this, I think, is going to do well for the game. I think it's going to bring players back. I think it's going to bring new players like myself who didn't pick up the controller to play Sea of Thieves originally to get involved in the game. And you know what? Who's to say that Sea of Thieves 2, should they decide to make one, they'll have this from the onset. And I think that's important because I like a game. You know, you take Gears, for instance. It has amazing multiplayer. I don't play it. I play it for the single player. Halo has amazing multiplayer. That I will play. But it also has an incredible story. Not all of them are great. Like Halo 5 was a bit of a miss, but I still played through the story nonetheless. It still gives the consumer, i.e. the gamer that goes out and buys it, the opportunity to play either or both. I like that. Sea of Thieves didn't offer that in the beginning. Now they're offering it. I think they're going to get a lot of goodwill from the community that stuck around, and also new people that may be picking up Game Pass to play it because it's going to have a single-player campaign. But I want to talk about the last topic of the show because we are already past 90 minutes. Normally, it's a 90-minute show, but this one I added late, Drew. I sent it to you late. The thing I found really interesting about this is that, there's been talk, right, of how Microsoft is failing, right? Their Xbox division is shit, right? They're in third place. They're failing. Well, apparently, Microsoft has crossed 1 trillion market cap after a huge quarter 3 earnings. And Brad Sams was talking about this, who we had on the show, and as you know, is a Microsoft insider. And there was a lot of stuff that he talked about. He talked about Surface, which I'm not going to bring up. He talked about Windows, I'm not going to bring up. And he talked about, what was the other thing he said? He talked about Microsoft Office 365. That does not include Xbox. That includes Microsoft. So I want to talk about the Microsoft numbers here, Drew, and we're going to break this down. First of all, Xbox software and services revenue grew 12%. And in big business, that's a lot. Xbox Live users users are at 63 million, up 4 million from the previous year during the same time period. And gaming revenue, listen to this, is at 2.3 billion, up 110 million year over year. So, this is a perfect, it's a perfect topic for the show because this is an Xbox centric show, but it's also makes a lot of sense as why Phil Spencer is so committed to buying new studios to add to their first party roster, because they're making money hand over fist of what they currently have, and we know that their first party isn't where it should be. Could you imagine when they start pumping out AAA games? What will the money situation be then?
Oh, do you know what, mate? This whole thing, I love seeing the numbers because, like we've said it before, numbers don't lie. Like, it's amazing. Like, to think that people still try to insinuate that Xbox is dying or that Microsoft is dying. It's really, really, really laughable. Oh man, like people will genuinely say anything to boost their agenda or just to make themselves feel better. But these figures don't lie, do they, Boom? Like let's just took it. You just read them all out. Let's just take a look at this one more. Like, it just doesn't lie. Even just the 63 million active users is insane to me. Like, we won't ever know the units sold, but we know that Phil and team go by the active users, as that gives a more accurate projection of how many people play, how consistent they play, and what games they are playing, which will only aid them in their search when they're going out and acquiring studios with all of this money, because they know what studios to acquire and what IPs they want developing to fit the trend of their active user base. And that just comes around full circle as to what they're using this money for, hence why you said they're going in strong with more studios. And and they make money back in the long run because their active user base are receiving, or reciprocating positively with all the games that they bring.
Yes.
And what the games they're bringing in the future. Xbox is stronger than ever, man. And what better time to be this financially stable going into a new generation? It is quite phenomenal. And what I think is quite funny as well is, like, we were literally just talking a few topics ago about like price cuts and matching and we weren't throwing shade at Sony, but the truth is,
we're just talking facts, dude.
Yeah, that's all we can do. Like, numbers don't lie. Their fiscal projections are diabolical. Like, they're literally hanging on by tape. And then you look at Xbox and you look at these numbers, like their gaming division, the revenue at 2.3 billion, up by 110 million. That's in one fiscal what do you call it? Fiscal cycle or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, fiscal year.
Yeah, fiscal year. Like guys, like, gee, you don't need to be a mathematician or a business major or any. It's basics. Like, and this is why I have all faith in the future of Xbox. Like, they've made some saucy decisions in the past, but they've got all the money backing behind them. They got a great leader that is Phil. More studios to come, more games to come, and they got a nice cushion behind them as well. Like, developers like Hellblade, who made Hellblade, who are financially struggling. You have like State of Decay, which was like an indie developer gone double A. Now it's going to be a AAA title eventually. Like, that's because of all of this. The gaming revenue is coming around full circle. They're making a lot of money, and yes, you can. A lot of people will be like, "Yeah, but that's just Microsoft." No, we're discussing now specifically the gaming division. Like, people can say Xbox is dying, Xbox is failing, Xbox is lost. They're not at all.
No.
And in my opinion, Boom, Like, forget units sold, forget Metacritic scores, forget like whatever you want, all the things that, in my opinion, are quite pathetic and just don't hold any weight. Are just pathetic weapons used in this console war. But in my honest to God, hand on heart opinion, regardless of numbers, with regard, in units and stuff like that, I believe that if we're talking which console is better or worse or winning in terms of like this console war, I think a platform is only as strong as the company backing it. And if that and Xbox has got a very strong foundation and a bright future, and they're only going to get better. And I just, it's people who say that it's dying, it just need to reevaluate what they're on about.
Yeah, real quick, Fanatical Flick brought up that he says, but the console is down 33%. Yes, that is in fact true. And the rebuttal to that, and thanks to More Cloud Tech USA, PlayStation consoles saw a deep dive as well at 28%. The reason why those numbers are not brought up is because we're talking about the positive aspects of the gaming division still making money with the 33% you're talking about. I first of all, thank you for that, because I didn't even actually see that what Brad Sams tweeted. But the reason why we're not gonna go hard on that is because consoles are down across the board. The Switch is winning NPDs, but they're still not selling as much as the month before. And obviously, Sony has taken a 28% dive as well. So it's console. You can only sell so many consoles to so many people. Not everybody's a gamer, but it's these particular numbers that are extremely impressive for a company that was going to sell off the franchise a couple of years ago, if you remember that nonsense.
Yeah.
So if you are an Xbox fan, I want to say this. There's been a lot of YouTubers that will remain nameless that have flipped sides, that are no longer Xbox fans, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I will not challenge that. Go where your love is. That's what I say. But I am going to guarantee you one thing. Drew and I are going to be putting on one of the best. I mean, you have really good, fantastic Xbox shows. First of all, the first one that comes to mind is Dealers RDX. I look forward to that. I love his panel. The guy he's big time. He is him, Colt, everyone that's on there, D-Batch, the guests that he has on, Zalker, who is a super awesome dude, rising star in the community. Their show is legit. And that's one of the shows I, as a content creator, but more so as a fan, look forward to. But I want to say this before we get you guys out of here. This show is going to be one of the best shows out there, because Drew and I strive for it each and every week. First of all, we had almost 150 people watching live during the day. That is absolutely ridiculous. I still cannot believe the numbers. I want to say thank you to our chat. You guys were awesome as usual. The conversations you were having with each other, real adult-like. Love interacting with you guys. Glad that you enjoy the show and that you're showing up. First of all, thank you again to all of the Patreon supporters. That is a really big deal for me. And of course, the super chats today and almost every show that I do, greatly, greatly appreciated. This allows me, as a retired guy, to offer more giveaways, which we have a big show coming, not this Friday, but next Friday. It's going to be the 50th episode of Breakfast with Boom. I cannot believe it's been a year already. So we're going to be having a few giveaways for that. And, and of course, I could not do the show without Drew. He obviously is 50% of this show, and he's as important to this as I am. Drew, please tell everyone where they can follow you, but more specifically, sub your YouTube channel.
No, I appreciate that, Boom. And with regards to my YouTube channel, The Welsh Gamer, I have put on Twitter a little tease for a project. I've mentioned a few times that me and Boom and even Salty, we've talked behind the scenes about a project, and it's called the X Roulette Show. Which will be, I'll be putting an official announcement at some point in the next couple of weeks with a day and a time, and when we'll kick off with the pilot episode. But I just wanted to throw out there that my channel will breathe life again. It's because it has been rather quiet over there, I do admit, but it's coming, and I can't wait to start this project. We just need to iron out the details, but be sure to get your asses over to the Welsh Gamer, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and stay tuned for some amazing content. Partnered up with Salty and Boom. They're guaranteed panel members for my future project. Hopefully get a couple of extras. It could be you in the chat, so be sure to DM me on Twitter if you're interested. You never know. But Boom, what a fantastic show, man. Excellent topics. Excellent topics. I was on cloud 20 anyway from the freaking come down I'm on with Avengers Endgame, and this show just knocked me up an extra few. Let's just say I'm on cloud 31 now. Just say 31. Mate, excellent show, excellent topics. Always a phenomenal time talking to you and the amazing, amazing chat who follow us. You are all phenomenal. I love every one of you. Boom, take it away, man. You're awesome.
Oh, just got to say real quick, Fanatical Flick. First of all, dude, that's an outstanding $20 super chat. My goodness, thank you for that. On the way out, he says, "Good show today. Keep up the great work." And yes, thank you for, first of all, again, I say this all the time. The $20 is great. I mean, that really is just really ultra generous of you. But you being in here and dropping that 33%, because I did not know that. I missed that number. So good on you for that. You're here all the time. Thank you for just hanging out and enjoying the show, because it does really mean the world to both Drew and I, because we really work hard on this, and we want to make sure that your time isn't wasted, that you come away from this show and say, you know what, I just had a blast. That's what we enjoy. So thank you again for that. And of course, tomorrow, just again, I've said it. I don't want anyone to be surprised. There is no Breakfast with Boom tomorrow. Yes, I understand it is sad, because it's going to be the first one I missed in a very, very long time. But obviously, Avengers Endgame is coming out. I don't get a chance very often to hang out with my brother, especially throughout the entire day, because he works real long hours. So we're going to be doing that, and we'll be back next week. But of course, thanks again for everyone tuning in, and we will see you next Thursday on the newest and hottest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your weekend, and please do not post any spoilers about Endgame on Twitter. Don't do it. Later, everybody.